Let's talk a little bit about fall camp. Again, transitioning away from fall camp into mock game week. Hubs always brings up, above or below the line. Can this guy help this team this year? I'm going to bring up a couple of guys, and let's kind of discuss if we think we've learned enough about him in fall camp to where, yeah, they can help this team in 2024, or maybe not yet. I'll throw a name out there. You guys can throw some more out there as well. But I think, let's start with DeShawn Bishop. News came on Monday that Cam Seldon's full go. Dylan Sampson's being a little limited, of course, but he's going to play this year. We know that. Peyton Lewis is coming back around. There's quite a few of them running backs there, but DeShawn Bishop's been a guy that's been there every single step of the way, every day in fall camp. Brent, is DeShawn Bishop above or below the line? Will he help Tennessee this year?
He's above the line, and he deserves every opportunity that he gets in the Chattanooga game, and he should get some opportunities in the Chattanooga game. And then how it shakes out moving forward after that, was his growth and development, Peyton Lewis's growth and development, Cam Seldon. I mean, they've consistently played three under Jerry Mack in a rotation that was awkward at times, right, AP? But they rotated three. I don't know how many they're going to play, but DeShawn Bishop has been there entire fall camp. He's drawn praise. I'm looking forward to seeing DeShawn Bishop get some opportunities in the Chattanooga game, see what he can do with it. And then as the season goes along, you get nicks and bruises and bumps, and we'll see whose development's where and all those things. But, I mean, for me, DeShawn Bishop's definitely above the line.
Agreed.
AP, who will be the cage cheetah out of the foursome?
I don't think anybody's going to do that this year, Rob. Dylan's going to be the starter, so he has no reason to do it. That's not Cam's style at all, and Peyton Lewis is a true freshman. So I guess if it was going to be anybody, it might be DeShawn Bishop, but I don't think he's that kind of kid either. So, but yeah, I mean,
I will say this. I think Darrell Sims is, and this is a good problem. This is not a bad problem. Darrell Sims, for all of the talk all summer long about Austin, they needed to go to the portal. They needed to go get somebody out of the transfer portal. The running back depth is a train wreck to start the year. Where you at? This has suddenly become a room that you've got quite a bit of confidence in, quite a bit of depth in, and it puts Darrell Sims in an interesting situation in terms of managing that rotation because Seldon's ahead of schedule, Lewis is not disappointed, and DeShawn Bishop has been a really nice. Every time he goes through 11-on-11 work, he's been a surprise. He's played well. So they've got a better problem to have at running back than anybody thought they were going to have when Seldon went down with that injury back in spring.
Yes.
I think this one's kind of interesting. He's not a name that we ever throw out there at all, but you can tell that he's gotten so much better since he stepped foot on here a couple years ago. His body looks so much different. He's not in the top three at his position. But if something were to happen where two offensive tackles went down, Larry Johnson, is he above or below the line?
I think he's above the line out of necessity. I don't know that he's any kind of regular rotation there. I don't think he can play left. I think, he would play – he would be in there at a right tackle spot right now. I think the third tackle, you got Dane Davis, who I think most people believe is going to be the third tackle. Then I think it gets interesting as the season progresses. Is it Larry Johnson, AP, or is it Jesse Perry as a tackle? As kind of in your two deep there, where would your rotation go with that? How much more does Jesse Perry develop as we move forward? Because for me, that's a guy I had below the line when he signed with Tennessee and when spring practice started. I thought Jesse Perry was the biggest lock to redshirt of anybody they signed at that position. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way I felt. He was coming out of the single wing. Pass protection was a concern. I didn't know if he was big enough and physical enough. To me, he was an absolute below the line guy before spring ball started. And I think where he's at now, he's pushing to – I would call him an above the line. I think there's a chance he could end up being your first tackle off the bench at some point this season.
Wow, Hubs.
Am I wrong?
No, I listen. I agree with everything you said. It's just very anti-Hubs like to be so positive.
I think Dane's going to be the first tackle because he can play all the positions.
But to your point, though, after Dane, it gets murky because if something happened to Hurd, Campbell's healthy and can play, he'll play left.
Yeah.
Dana play right.
Right.
But again, after that, it's like, well, what the heck you gonna do?
Yeah,
But that's a reflection of what AP you guys are saying about tackle bodies. I mean, 2 years ago, I mean, you don't want to play Larry Johnson and Jesse Perry, but 2 years ago, I mean, you didn't have two guys like that to even think about.
yeah, and I think Larry Johnson,
like Bennett Warren or anybody else like that.
Yeah, great point.
I think Larry Johnson has improved dramatically. I think his body's in better shape. I think he's got a better understanding. I think he's playing. I think Larry Johnson has made huge strides. So I think it will be an interesting deal. It would be an interesting deal to see where they went there. But I think, again, both of them are a surprise, and we'll see where they're at. I mean, I think both of them are in a position that, if called upon, there's a little more comfort level there than anybody anticipated that they would have. I mean, Larry Johnson was never mentioned in spring ball, was he?
I don't think so. Not much.
And now he's in. He's gotten a bunch of first team reps at right tackle throughout fall camp because John Campbell's not done anything. So they've got a much better evaluation for him because he's gone up against Pierce and those guys every day, which has made him better.
Maybe another one out of necessity as well, because I mean, gosh, he could very easily start. But you've called him the biggest surprise. Hubs, you said this. AP, you said this. But Christian Harrison very well could be the starting star. I think Boo's going to play a lot of that as well. But is that more out of necessity, or do we think that he's actually taken some steps and turned into a pretty good football player here, knowing he's still a work in progress?
I think he's taken steps. I still think it's a surprise that he's in the position he's in. But I think he had a really nice offseason. And is probably playing a little bit more confidently than he was. Maybe it's the fact he cut the dreads off and he's kind of more old school look. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's just a new approach from him. But I mean, he definitely feels like he's improved. Again, it'll be up to him to see whether he can stay out there ahead of Boo, because Boo's going to keep coming. But Christian Harrison, in talking to some people last week, has absolutely gotten better.
Well, and I think they're going to play both of them. I think they're going to play both of them a lot, which they should. And you never know, Rob. Sometimes it's just a position switch, right? I mean, it was a corner. He was a corner. I don't know how confident he was at corner. Then all of a sudden he's going to go play safety, and Jordan Thomas gets hurt, and he slides in there, and he seemed a little bit more like a natural fit there. I mean, we saw the same thing a year ago. I mean, Dante Thornton, at slot was drowning. I mean, he was struggling, and then he goes outside, and it's more of a natural fit for him that way. Give Christian Harrison credit. I mean, a lot of people thought Christian Harrison would be adios Kazoos back in December. Might be a transfer portal guy, and he's put himself in a situation now where he's going to play football, whether he starts or he doesn't start. I think they're going to rotate pretty heavily at that star position early in the season.
Yeah, and my biggest take of it is it doesn't sound. I mean, my initial thought was, maybe they're just desperate and Boo's not ready. They're scared to death to play him. It doesn't feel like that to me. Does it to you guys? I mean, I'm not saying that, Christian Harrison, they just suddenly discovered an all SEC guy when they moved him in there, but it doesn't sound to me like, it's a competition just because they're scared to death to play Boo. And maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like Harrison has done some nice things as camp.
Well, remember this too. I mean, when Jordan Thomas went down, I mean, we started throwing out body names. All right, Christian Charles, it makes sense for him to go back there, right? Will Brooks can go back there.
Jalen McMurray,
Jalen McMurray could play there. Obviously, Boo Carter's going to be there, and Christian Harrison wasn't a thought. So this is not, desperation because there's a bunch that there was no other options. This is a guy who's done a good job in camp and put himself in a position. I don't know if he's going to start or not, but I mean, he's climbed above the line because a year ago he was below the line. I think we would all agree that he was below the line a year ago in terms of defense. He played some special teams, but to his credit, he's put his head down, he went to work, and he's put himself there. I mean, it's a little bit like what Jason Jenkins has done, as a defensive lineman to emerge as a guy in the rotation now because of the way he's just gone to work. And I think you got to give Christian Harrison credit for that. It's a surprise to me. I've said that, and I'm not going to change my stance on that. But it's a credit to Christian Harrison for staying the course and believing in himself, betting on himself, and going to work and capitalizing on an opportunity.
Yeah, there are 4 of those strong side defensive ends that are going to play. And you got 3 units deep. It's just I'm intrigued to see how Rodney kind of puts all those puzzle pieces together.
It depends on who he's happy with on that series. And I
Sure.
can tell you exactly what's going to happen in that rotation. You mess up, you're coming out.
As for Christian Harrison, I really root for that kid to play well, and then we can do it. And I'll have Kane do an in-depth kind of deal with his mom and dad.
I'd love
Mom
to.
loves Kane.
Love to. Yeah, great story there from McGee Tyson. Last one, and we think, I mean, it's easy to say they should. We think they're going to play a couple of safeties. Again, in 3 years, we haven't seen that. But you would assume Jacoby Thomas is going to play some safety. You would assume that John Slaughter is going to play some safety. All those guys, and Will Brooks, of course, have been rotating, have been a part of that, 2 deep all fall camp. Has the game slowed down, Brent, for Jacoby Thomas? Has John Slaughter truly taken some steps from being a freshman last year that didn't see any playing time to where he could be counted on playing one of those safety spots?
Well, I think those guys have taken steps. I think the game's slowing down. I think John Slaughter's taken steps. I think again, you got to go execute your plan. The plan is to play multiple safeties, okay, and rotate those guys. I think that's been talked about for forever, Austin. I mean, I think that's clearly the plan. Now, when you get into the ball game and and it's the second quarter, are you really going to do that? Or are you not going to do that? I mean, you don't know. It's kind of like the kicker. I mean, you can talk about it on the range. I mean, how many times? Let's use an AP golf analogy, Rob Lewis. How many times have you said when you're going out there, when I get to hole 8, I need to hit 3 wood here, or I need to hit iron here because driver can bring a big number into play. It's a bad choice. But then you get out there and you're playing the game of golf, and what do? You grab the driver out of the bag and you just keep hitting the driver, even though that's not the quote right play. So my point is, do you take your plans and use them on game day, or is that just kind of continued talk until they do it? I think we're all going to be like, okay, let's wait and see if they really do it.
Until that Peter Millar collar gets tied around the neck cover, you just don't know. Freshman, I'm with you. I mean, I have no idea. I mean,
I believe 100% that's what they want to do. And correct me if you guys don't think that. If you think I'm wrong on that, then jump in there. But I don't think that's window dressing. I don't think that's just some kind of stand at the podium rhetoric. I truly believe that their intention is to play and rotate at the safety spot. But because they haven't done it in the past, you got to kind of say, all right, let me go see them rotate at that position in a game.
I mean, Josh Hoppe said it again on Monday, Hubbard. I mean, he said it all. Can't be specifically about the secondary. He said that kind of thing on Monday. Like, I'm not excited just about the first guys that are going to run out there. About as we're going to.
Last one out the door, guys. I'm sorry, Rob. You were cutting it out right
there. No, I was looking for a good way to end it.
Gotcha. Out the door here, Bison, Lang, Williams, Satterwhite. Can they help Tennessee if needed this year, AP?
I'm going to say below the line.
Brent?
I mean, can they – I mean, if they're forced to play because of injury, then it changes things. But, I mean, I don't think right now that's they're in their top 2. Now, everybody knows, and I'm not going to get on a 5-minute deal. Everybody knows where I stand on the center position. When you get in a ball game and you get an opportunity to play Satterwhite, if you think he's your future center, you better get him in quickly and play him and get him some real snaps. So from that standpoint, I think he's going to play 4 games or whatever. But if Cooper Mays stays healthy, I don't think you're going to see any kind of real usage of Satterwhite at the center position. And I don't think Bison Lang has taken and run with anything this preseason camp.
And again, as of today, still, if something were to happen to Cooper, it would be Dane Davis, right?
I think so. I mean, I think early on, for sure. Again, they should take any opportunity they get to play those young guys. Don't get caught up in stats midway through the third quarter, right? Rotate them. Get young guys on the field. Nobody wants to hear 5 minutes of that, but you know where I stand on that one. Get them on the field.